It was a cold winter night. Thick snow covered the rooftops, forming icicles that dangled down haphazardly. The chilly wind bit my cheeks, but I didn't care. Because 5-year-old me was too busy looking at the huge, gigantic ice sculpture of a Chinese warrior that stood before me. I gripped my mother's hand excitedly. It was winter, my favorite time of the year, and I loved going to the annual ice sculpture festival in Harbin. Just as I was about to run forward to look at more ice sculptures, suddenly everything started to blur in front of me. No! No! I cried, I want to see more ice sculptures, Mommy! And then I woke up. It was all a dream. It was Tuesday morning, and I realized that I better stop procrastinating on writing this speech for Wednesday. Fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. My name is Marilyn, and I was born in Harbin City, in northeastern China. My age will remain unknown to you guys, but just to make everything warmer, I decided to talk about a little bit about my childhood because of the dream I had on Monday night. So before we actually begin talking, I just wanted to show you a picture of me when I was little. I was just kidding. That was a picture from the internet. The real me is obviously cuter than that. Anyways, I'm really proud to have come from the province with a really epic name that translates literally from Chinese as Black Dragon River Province. There, it's very close to Russia, so in the wintertime, it's really cold. We have a lot of Russian sculptures there because I think the Russians invaded us a few decades ago, and then they kind of withdrew. But anyways, there's this huge cathedral there that's built in the Russian style. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of St. Basil's, the turnip-top Russian cathedrals. Yeah, it's built kind of like that, and there's pigeons all over the place there in the summertime. There's also a lot of Russian people in Harbin. You know Chinatown in Vancouver, which is basically like a street with Chinese people and Chinese shops there? Well, there's a thing like that in Harbin too. It's like a street with a lot of Russian shops. Anyways, I think Harbin is most known for in China for its winter ice sculptures. And what happens is, I forgot which river, but I know like some rivers, they freeze in the wintertime, and the people would saw out huge blocks of ice, and they would make sculptures with it. So I just Googled a few pictures of ice sculptures for you to see. So this is one sculpture, very impressive. I'm not really sure what that is, but it's very, very impressive. And I guess they placed lights inside the ice sculptures, but at nighttime, it would glow up magnificently. This is not the best picture, in my opinion, of the ice sculptures, but I chose this picture because it represents a part of Harbin culture in that it's partially Russian influence and partially Chinese influence. Because as you can see there is an ice cathedral in the Russian style, and then there's a Great Wall of China also built with blocks of ice. And it's all glowing at nighttime. When I was 6, my family chose to immigrate here to Canada. And unfortunately for me, the only words I knew how to say in English were apple and pear. Except it wasn't apple and pear, it was apple and pear. I'm pretty sure my parents took me to a mommy and child English class when I was little, but unfortunately I didn't really learn anything from there apart from those 2 words. This played a big role on the airplane trip from Beijing to Vancouver, because at that time they didn't really have an airplane that went directly from Harbin to Vancouver. on the airplane, when I was coming to Canada, there was this old gentleman there. And he looked like Santa Claus to me because he was so old and jolly looking and Santa Claus-like. And at that time, I got 3 crayons from the stewardess on the airplane to color in my coloring booklet with. One of my crayons dropped on the ground and it rolled towards the old man's seat. I was in the seat, and then I wanted to go up and pick up that crayon. And I started yelling, And that old man, he was really nice, so he bent down, took the crayon from under his seat, and gave it back to me. And the first word that came out of my mouth was, "Apa." I didn't know how to say thank you. So, in conclusion, even though I am now currently years old, from my dream, I realized that how precious my childhood was, and how even though I did not realize it at the time, my experiences in my childhood really shaped who I am today. And I'm sure 20 years from now, I will also look back at how I'm doing now and think about how easy life was back then. Madame Toastmasters.